Yes.
So this week there was this release of this CoinDesk influencers list, which kind of tells people who they potentially should be listening to. What's your thought on lists like that, and how do you think that will affect things going forward? How do you see that playing out?
Well, I guess I would say that there will always be relatively few people who are following an advanced strategy, and there are probably going to be many people who would take a list like this seriously, but really, you would expect it to be difficult to figure out who the best connection is. So hash power is sort of the first thing that you should look at, but really everything is dynamic. So somebody could have a lot of hash power, but really he's on his way out. You really don't need to be friends with him. Or somebody could have not very much, but he's figured out something new, and he's going to have a lot more in the future. See, so figuring out who really is influential, that is the game. So anybody who is presenting a list and saying these are the influential people, that is necessarily a past-oriented it's past-oriented information, and what really matters is future-orientedness. Different higher levels of strategy are more and more future-oriented and able to account for further and further future effects. But you don't know who really knows the future. So there's always uncertainty about it. Question?
Yeah, and I guess you mentioned fractals before, and I think you could argue that CoinDesk itself is not something you should listen to. So
sorry, I didn't hear that.
Well, you were talking about fractals before in Bitcoin, and I guess you could say that CoinDesk is pretty irrelevant. So if they make a list, that's just even more irrelevant.
Oh, right. Yeah, so that's a good point. That's true. If somebody was making a list of the most influential people, I would actually take that as evidence that they do not fully understand the game. Well, nobody fully understands the game, but I would take that as evidence that they are operating on a lower level of strategy and therefore deserve less connection. So negative reinforcement.
Yeah.
I had a question.
Yes, Blake.
So do you think that people are going to heed these suggestions sooner rather than later, or do you think there's a big learning curve ahead of in terms of what you just said?
I think that there's a big learning curve for everybody because the levels of strategy go up infinitely. So everybody's going to learn a lot more. But I think that if the Bitcoin economy can improve, one of the effects is making the competition stiffer. So I think that if more people start to learn some of the basic things that I've been talking about today, it's going to be easier for noobs to learn it because they'll see other people doing it more often. And there will be stiffer competition that they'll be presented with, that they'll have to contend with.
Okay.
Well, I don't have anything else. Those are my my notes. So well, okay, yeah.
Yes. So We're going to be doing this show probably every week or 2 weeks. But the problem we'll have is because I know Roger, then we can never have anybody from, the core side on the show. So how can we get back into the debate when there's so many resentment?
You're saying because you have Roger on the show, that means core people treat you like an enemy and they don't want to get on the show?
Right.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you should use costly signals on them, and some of them who are thinking might notice. So so tell them that they're stupid in a funny way, and convince them that you don't care whether they want to join you.
Mm-hmm.
Conspicuously demonstrate that you do not need to connect with them, and they will respond voluntarily to this kind of behavior, because we use operant conditioning, and maybe they will just try to continue shunning you forever. The consequences will be that eventually they will shun the rest of the world from themselves, and nobody will hear from them again. BTC is kind of like they're in a black hole. Like they've cut themselves off from the outside world.
Yeah, nobody's joining that cult.
Yeah, and so people need to voluntarily leave. So you can use costly signals as a way of attracting attention, but at the end of the day, you can't control people. All you can do is show them who you are, and then if they want to follow, then they will. But yeah,
Awesome.
do neg the core cult a lot, because they are very low value.
I've been trying.
And so now, one thing about cults is that they need to control the conversation. So it's very easy to get their attention with negging, because they can't afford that. They can't afford somebody going around calling them idiots all the time. You get a big reaction if you start trolling them, and so that's a good way of, that might not get people on your show, but you can challenge them. So you have to offer value too, right? So you should be valuable for them to get on your show. So then, if you have both, if it's valuable for them to be on your show, and you can attract their attention with lots of negging, then you can challenge them. And if they don't want to be on the show, then other people can see that they don't want greater connectivity. So, okay, well, those are my lessons. I'll just quick reiterate. So, open-mindedness, reinforcement, not punishment, and costly signals to attract attention.
And I recognize a lot of these terms from a book that was recommended by Paul. Was it Beginning of Infinity?
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I recognized a lot of these terms from a book that was recommended by Paul Sports. And it was a lot about conspicuous signals.
Oh, so are you talking about the theory of the leisure class?
No. Okay.
Okay. The handicap principle. That's my favorite one. Read. Okay. I don't know what book he's talking about, but yeah, I very much recommend the handicap principle by Zahavi. So if you have time to learn that, there's lots of learning to do, but if you have time for that one, I think it's going to warp your mind, and it goes through the stuff that I talked about with animals, but there's a lot more.
I guess we'll compile a book list in the show notes.
We will. we'll make sure we get those all down there. But thank you, Daniel, for that. It was definitely insightful. I feel like we've learned a lot, just not about being a great Bitcoiner in 2019, but also getting new guests on the show too. So so that's
like,
right. Well, thank you for inviting me. Oh, sorry. What did you say?
I said it felt like I'm back at school. I like it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes. Interconnectivity for 100% inclusivity.
Amazing. Guys, I would recommend everyone to follow the Emperor of Bitcoin on Twitter for more nuggets of wisdom. So that's at Daniel Krawisz. I'll link that in the description below. And also, yeah, is there anything else that we can follow you on, Daniel, that you'd like to highlight?
So look at my show, Bitcoin Stuff, on YouTube, and also look at my show on Keyport TV, which is it's a competitor to YouTube that uses BSV. And right now I have more stuff on YouTube than on Keyport. But eventually I hope to reach a point where I will only be uploading to Keyport, and I might do previews on YouTube. But I think that the Bitcoin model of social networking exemplifies the kind of principles that we talked about today. And the old version of social networking, like YouTube and Facebook, is inherently more toxic. So right now, I still feel like it is important to connect to people through YouTube, but eventually I hope to reach a point where it won't be.
Amazing. Well, we'll make sure to link all that in the description below. But again, yeah, thanks, Daniel, and thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode of Shitcoin TV.